Hello and welcome to a special edition of PWM Radio. Our guest this week is one of the hottest stars on the UK scene. He's a former Predator, former Southside Tag Team Champion. He is current Mr. Money in the Bank, and we are delighted to be joined by the righteous Joseph Connors. And welcome to PWM Radio.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for doing it. We appreciate it. So, 2014's been a breakout year for you. You know, you split from your Predators partner Paul Malen, and you had, in our opinion, one of the best feuds of the year with your former partner. You won the Southside Money in the Bank briefcase, and you faced a whole host of wrestling legends, and even, you know, headed over to Germany to wrestle over there. You must be pretty pleased with how 2014's been for you.
Yeah, 2014, like you say, has been, you know, it's probably been the most standout year I've had since I started. I started in late 2006.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've been working hard ever since I started, or at least I'd like to think I have. But I think at the end of 2013, sort of when New Year's came up, I really made a promise to myself that I would take my work and work harder than I ever had done, not just in terms of in the wrestling ring, but in regards to getting in better condition and focusing more on a diet and just trying to push myself further and further, basically. And, you know, I had a lot of goals that I wanted to achieve in 2014. And, you know, like you say, I've been lucky enough to step into the ring with some, not just top worldwide talent, but I've also had, you know, numerous opportunities to face some of the top talents we have over in the UK as well. And also, obviously, me and Paul Malen have split. And, you know, we've had a collection of, like, really hard-hitting, really physical matches as well. So, you know, I've sort of covered a lot of bases this year, and I'm very happy with how things have gone.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, because, like you said, they have been very hard-hitting matches, haven't they? And even saw you take a balcony bump at one point or another.
Yeah, that was not the funnest experience. That could have been the end of... falling off that was it was quite a terrifying moment, to be honest. Even that's something I wouldn't have expected myself to be doing.
No.
But you know, we won it. Well, in that match, I wanted to you know, take things to a different level. This, like, as you say, this rivalry between us has built up and built up and built up since March of this year, and you know, there was a level of violence. There was a level of, like, you know, we kind of, things just went to a different level with that match. We'd competed in the Falls Count Anywhere, and we'd done a couple of singles matches and stuff like that before. But this, you know, with the First Blood, you know, marquee event to it, it got taken to a whole different side. And, you know, I've not been in a match that's been that physical. I can say that much.
No, and another thing that's really got the, you know, made it like a really hot feud as well is the promos you've been doing for them. I mean, was that something you're really conscious of working on this year as well, like your promos, or is that something that sort of comes naturally to you?
I've been doing, like, doing promos is something I've always enjoyed doing, and something I always thought I'd potentially be able to make my sort of niche, especially in the UK market.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always sort of dabbled on the microphone, whether it's been, you know, a smaller show or a bigger show. I had the idea, once I split off and started creating this righteous character. You know, I don't do it as much at the moment, but I had the idea of, like, walking to the ring and talking with the microphone. I was just, basically, what I like to do is just see what everybody else is doing, you know, in the UK and US and wherever, and just try and find a gap or a niche or something that somebody isn't doing. You know, sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work, and, you know, I'm still learning my ability on the microphone, but it's something that I feel I'm confident at, and something I do enjoy doing. I enjoy telling a story, and you can do that very well with a microphone as well, and, you know, get your emotions across and your character across even more.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, the writer's character is really intense, isn't it? How do you prepare for that? Is that something you can switch on and off, or is it something that, you know, kind of like stays with you? Because I was listening to Chris Jericho talk about when he was doing his, like, in 2008, when he was, like, doing that real heel character, and it said it was something that he couldn't switch off when he sort of came out of the arena. Is it something similar to the righteous character?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, one thing I haven't wanted to do is kind of insult, you know, my character or other people's intelligence. So, like, when I am, you know, doing the righteous on an event, whether it's Southside or somewhere else, I don't I try not to, once I'm at the venue, once the show starts, you won't see me around after a show with the fans or hanging about signing autographs or anything like that. It's something that with that character, I really try and, I wouldn't say like backstage I'm acting just like that, but I feel like I'm still learning to get this character down. I mean, if you'd ever seen me before, I was very heavily vocal. I just did the special edition character, or whether I was part of the Predators, I was sort of on constant sort of shouting from the moment I came through the curtain. And with the Righteous character, it's a lot more of it's not just relying on being vocal, but I try and look at everything from the way I move, my body language, the way I conduct myself, the way and tailoring myself to each different opponent. So whether I'm having a match with Paul Malen in the First Blood match, and then obviously the next evening I'm against Scotty Too Hotty, the tendency is to maybe try and play a little bit more comedy or stuff like that. That's maybe what I'd have done in the past, but I didn't want to lose the integrity of this character. So it's still a trial in progress. I'm still working on it a lot, but I'm just trying to find that niche with this character, and it's had a good response. Some people hate the character, some people like the character, but it gets a reaction, which is obviously what I want when I'm performing on a show.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing, isn't it? So do you have complete sort of like freedom to say you'll go to a Southside show and be talking to Ben Old, and he's like, just do what you want, sort of thing?
In some respects, yeah. With the whole Righteous character, that was something I just came up with, and I didn't want to do. The tendency sometimes is when a tag team splits is that you just carry on. You just carry on what you were doing, but just as a singles person.
Yeah.
Really didn't want to do that. So obviously, when I was tagging with Malen, we both wore the singlets. We both, we had purple. We had certain music. I wanted to make sure I changed everything. So I looked at what everybody else is sort of coming to the ring, music-wise, and then I picked something that no one else, a very dark piece of music, very slow piece of music. Changed my ring gear. Like the promo idea, you ask about sort of creative freedom. The promo idea of walking to the ring, I ran it by a few people who I respect and asked for some opinions, and a lot of people said, you should have a crack with it. And I started doing that. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've done, it's come from my mind. The promo material and the matches. At Southside, obviously the matches are laid out in terms of, we know what the card's going to be, but there is that creative freedom to, Ben Old would admit he's never been in the ring, and he's not a wrestler and stuff. So he gives, the talent the opportunity to tell the stories they want to tell, basically.
Yeah. I think that's the good thing about Southside, isn't it? They always have these really good storylines ongoing. They previously had Kirby against Sol Ligero, and now you and Malen, and then obviously you've kind of got this Legend Killers gimmick going on as well, haven't you? You were defeating Marty Jannetty, and then was it Scotty Too Hotty? I know and then Bob Holly as well, wasn't it?
The Bob Holly match, he actually defeated me.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah. But no, I mean, I've been given those opportunities to step into the ring with some really, some amazingly top talent. Just being on shows with, if you'd have told me when I first got into wrestling that I'd be wrestling some of these people, I wouldn't have believed you. But now, it's been a real nice opportunity to test, my skills, or, the Bob Holly match was a really good experience for me, just because if you look at how long he was in WWF, WWE,
yeah,
in that company for such a long period of time, and done a really good job, and he knows what it takes. He's been in the ring with everybody. He was the guy. He was like the measuring stick that they'd send people in to work with him and see if they could cut the mustard, and that was a big opportunity for me. And Hardcore Holly as well, he's got a reputation of being hard hitting guy, and it was, I appreciate being in the ring with somebody like that, somebody who's going to test you. Same with someone like Scotty Too Hotty. The boom period of wrestling was, 2000, 1999, and everybody still, even if you dropped off from wrestling or you're not the biggest fan anymore, everyone still remembers these guys. And I mean, he's still in great shape, and he's been on WWE recently and stuff like that. So, it's, it was a real pleasure to get in the ring with him. Same with Marty Jannetty, like, obviously, people always go back to, obviously, Shawn Michaels, and there's always kind of the jokes and stuff like that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Marty Jannetty was in one of the greatest tag teams, there's ever been. And
exactly.
Real pioneer. And, I mean, the poor guy as well, like, if you don't know the injuries at the minute that he's carrying. So I had a lot of respect for, he worked 3 singles matches throughout that weekend. And, he's got like an ankle that he shouldn't even be walking around him at the minute, and try and put in the performances he did. I had a lot of respect for him, and he was very, real gentleman, real class act. So, then I mean, that's been the same for a lot of people Southside have brought in. Everybody's sort of come in majority and wanted to work for the show and the benefit of the promotion and give a good performance to the paying fans as well.
Yeah, and I noticed that Bob Holly had really sort of was hugely complimentary of you as well on Twitter, wasn't he? Yeah,
that was, that was fantastic for me. I said to him, you don't know what those kind of words are going to mean to somebody like me. That was, that was breathtaking, really, to get that kind of response, and I really appreciate, what he said. I mean, hopefully we get the opportunity to step in there with him again. But no, I mean, that was fantastic, because I've read his book, and I've heard a lot of stories about him and stuff like that. And he's a really good guy, but he's a very intense person as well. Someone you wouldn't want to get, someone I wouldn't want to upset.
No.
For him to be happy with it, and for how long he's been in the business, that was fantastic. And he was really good guy, really good asset for Southside and any promotion he's worked for and stuff. So, and he's had really good reactions. So it's been a pleasure getting the opportunity to wrestle him.
Yeah. So, did you make your debut in Germany this year? I know you've been over a couple of times this year. Was the first time you'd wrestled in Germany this year?
This was my first time wrestling in Germany. Full stop. I'd had some opportunities, sort of. Throughout, when you're in wrestling, you get offered lots of different things, and very few of them come through. There's been quite a few places, European countries, that I've been offered to wrestle in, and you work out the details, and then the last minute something happens, or the show gets cancelled, or it's just, that's what happens with independent wrestling a lot of the time. But no, this company, GHW, they'd spoken to me quite earlier in the year, mentioned about this date, and I'm quite pessimistic when it comes to certain stuff in wrestling. Yeah. I'll believe it when it happens, and the deal got worked out, and they looked after us pretty well, and it was very well, and it was it's a good experience. It's another one of those things where you appreciate the fact that you're being paid to go and do something you love, and something that you work hard at, and something that you've been dreaming about doing, and you're getting the opportunity to go abroad and apply your craft in front of a whole different audience. So, it was a good, a very tiring but very good experience.
Yeah. So, how were the fans over there? Were they sort of similar to English fans, or totally different?
To be honest, I mean, it's very. I mean, a lot of wrestling fans. I mean, all wrestling fans are different. I mean, it's like, if you look at the UK. I wrestle for all different types of promotions in this country. I mean, obviously you've got Southside, who at Stevenage, 800 sell out. You get New Generation Wrestling when I get the opportunity to perform for them. They pull in phenomenal crowds. Every now and again I perform for All Star Wrestling. They get great crowds. And then you perform for, not that they're smaller promotions, but more hometown promotions where there might be anywhere from 50 to 100 in the crowd. So it really, it varies. Like, the kind of matches I may have at Southside aren't necessarily going to be the same kind of matches I have somewhere else, because you have to tailor your performance to what that crowd wants. In regards to the German fans, I mean, they were, no real different to English fans, really. I think there was about 200 attendants there, and they appreciated good wrestling, and hopefully we gave that to them. But I had a chance to speak to some of them, and they're all very appreciative and very polite, and some of them were a bit rowdy as well. But it was it was a good night, and wrestling fans are wrestling fans at the end of the day. Yeah. It was there wasn't, from what I saw, it was more sort of young, sort of older teenage males rather than young kids at this event. But there were definitely a lot more of from what I've seen and from the German wrestlers I've stepped into the ring with, it's a much more, from my opinion anyway, it's a more hard-hitting, more brutal, sort of like very in-your-face style. And that's what I noticed from a lot of the matches out there. There's a lot of big, heavy-set guys out there as well. So you can tell the fans are really tailored to that kind of like hard-hitting, you know, balls to the wall kind of style.
Yeah.
So the kind of match we had was a mixture of, you know, technical wrestling and faster paced and then slowing it down and stuff. So, you know, it was a different addition to the cards, which they seem to enjoy.
Okay. So, rewinding a bit, you were trained, was it at Styx's House of Pain? And how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I trained under Styx, but it was actually, at the time, it was called MBW, which stood for Norton British Wrestling. So it was something, I mean, I've always been a wrestling fan, and it was something that, to be honest with you, I was never thought about even attempting wrestling, never thought I'd be a wrestler or anything like that. And, you know, I was in my late sort of teens, I just passed my driving test, and I was looking for things to do, and we ended up going to a couple of like local shows in the area, and just sort of got talking to one of the wrestlers about schools and stuff like that, and he directed us towards the Nottingham school, and you know, took part. And at that time, you know, obviously anyone who knows anything about House of Pain wrestling now, they've got pretty much a full-time facility with a ring and a gym area and all that kind of stuff. So they've got, you know, all the facilities that you want and you need as a trainee wrestler. When I started, we just trained in a dojo on mats. We had like a deflated crash mat in the corner, which was a sad state of affairs, which was like consistently like the padding and the foam was falling out of it, so it was like landing on a pillow basically without anything inside it. But no, it was a great experience. I mean, once I sort of took part in it, I couldn't, you know, at that time we only had like 2 sessions a week on a Wednesday and a Sunday, and you had to earn your place into the Wednesday class. So like every week it was almost like, you know, just all I was thinking about was getting back into, you know, training and learning more and, you know, wanting to get the best out of it. And it, you know, it was a great experience. It changed me as a person, because wrestling always gives you, you know, a goal and something to look at and something to, you know, to work hard at. So, you know, at that time I was, you know, in terrible shape. I had nothing going on for myself. I was drinking way too much, doing everything like a 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Doing, and it gave me that kind of thing to, you know, get in a gym. And I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at the gym, but I got in there and I started, you know, just wanting to get better in every way I could. So, you know, it was a great experience. I, you know, made a lot of friends, and you know, just never looked back really. And I was lucky enough, like after 5 or 6 months, I got my debut, and then just carried on with it, and, you know, started making contacts and, you know, stinking up the joint on cards and stuff like that. But, you know, learning, just trying to learn and get better at it.
Yeah. So was there any other sort of like named UK wrestlers training with you at the same time?
I mean, very few of the guys that I started with are there, are on the scene. Paul Malen had been there for probably just under or just about a year when I started. So, like, Paul at the time was someone I looked up to. There was Danny Chase, who does the Battle Squad Awesome Tag Team. If you're aware of them, he was there, but he was like 15, and he was, you know, he's grown up, and, you know, I've known him since then.
Yeah.
There was sort of guys. I don't know if you remember Textbook Dave Breaks used to be involved at the school.
I think his name rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, he. From my knowledge now, he's pretty much. From what I'm aware, he hasn't done anything for a while. But he was a prospect at the time, and there was like really at the time there was sort of like an 8 or 10 sort of like, you know, set number, and then people would come in and people would go. I mean, you get that a lot with wrestling schools anyway.
Yeah.
And as the years sort of went on, and then people sort of started training after me. So there's guys like Bam Bam Barton. Guys like Flex Buffington came through. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, there's so many guys. There's so many guys who've come through House of Pain. I mean, I've gotten more involved with the school as the years have gone on. I've moved to Nottingham and stuff. So I know a lot of the guys now, and there's some really good like prospects. But from when I was there, sort of the main crew was sort of myself, Paul Malen, Bam Bam Barton, Danny Chase, then Danny Chase's tag team partner, Dave Andrews came through. I mean, there's been a lot of people who, some have done quite a lot on the UK scene, and some have, some did a bit and then left. I mean, as most guys who are in wrestling now, the people they started with, it's like I started with two of my best friends from school, and unfortunately they for whatever reason just haven't been able to stick with it, or didn't stick with it, and they fell away from it. It's not an easy thing. I mean, I think you have an idea of what wrestling's going to be, and then there's a lot more to it, than what people expect. Sometimes it's not about like the talent the talent's a big part of it, but sometimes it's about who's going to last the longest and stick with it, really. Because it's longest journeys, and sometimes you're not performing in front of massive crowds or anything like that. But that's the whole part of the learning process at the end of the day.
Well, exactly, and I can't imagine sort of like, 'cause I mean, obviously a lot of you guys working full-time jobs, and then, working all week, and then, Friday I'm going to travel down to, Nottingham or wherever and do a show, and then I'm going to do that all weekend and then go back to work on a Monday. You really, really got to want it, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I remember I used to do just like I used to do like warehousing jobs and stuff like that. Nothing special. I mean, maybe wrongly or rightly, I made the decision from when I was younger that I really was going to put my eggs in the wrestling basket, which some people say a bad idea, but that's what I wanted to do. So I kind of like looked for jobs that would support the wrestling habit, so to speak. And I'd have those moments where I'd be working quite a physically intense job, and then like a lot of the other guys, get in the car, go and do a show on a Friday night, and then if I was on my own, I'd be falling asleep on the M1 and stuff like that. I mean, it was all part and parcel of it, and doing Saturdays and Sundays, and then getting back into work, and then hitting the gym and doing all the necessary things to get yourself ready for shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it's no different from what any of the other top guys in the country do, but it is one of those things. Like, I mean, some people get into wrestling, they want to treat it as a hobby and stuff like that, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But my only thing is, it's just like, no matter if you just want to do one show a month, or if you only want to wrestle once, I just want everybody to treat it with the same amount of respect that it deserves at the end of the day. That's just my biggest thing, because it isn't like having a kickabout for football. It's very obviously, as being a fan and watching wrestling, one mistake and something horrible can happen. So it has to be treated with the respect that it deserves at the end of the day.
Exactly. So whose idea was it to put you and Malen together?
Well, when I first started, like not long after I first started, sort of put a car team together. And it was me and Paul mainly, and other guys, and we used to travel and just do different shows that would have us, basically. So when we first started, me and Paul were basically opponents everywhere, and we became, we did genuinely become best friends at the time. We were very inseparable, because we shared a lot of the same. We were quite similar in the way we'd grown up, and our ages are quite similar, and we'd had a lot of the same history and stuff, and we liked a lot of the same wrestling. We looked at wrestling very similar. So we spent a lot of time together and talked about wrestling, watched wrestling, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then traveling, and we were learning together, so we were having matches, and they were probably crap when we first started, and we just tried to learn and get better. And then after a while, it was like, we'd love to do a tag team. I don't know if you remember when the FWA got revived in sort of 2009, 2010 period.
Yeah.
And they actually put like Sticks and Paul together at that point. So I was kind of like, well, I guess that's, me and Paul, that's not going to happen. I mean, we tagged up in a couple of smaller places, but nowhere where anyone would remember the fact that we were teaming. And then I think a few promotions came about, and we started doing it. And I think then, like, just trying to remember, I think Ben Old saw us perform together, and we started, like everything, we started taking the team more seriously, and we came up with the name The Predators. We bought, matching gear.
Yeah.
We went, we didn't just do it on shows. We went into the ring on our time off and sort of practiced and picked up moves and, you know, just started working on our psychology together and studied. I mean, we watched a lot of like wrestling together. We watched a lot of Brainbuster stuff, Tully and Arn.
Oh yeah.
Tully and Arn Anderson, tried to just pick up ideas and stuff from that, because that was a team we really respected and sort of saw ourselves, you know, trying to emulate somewhat. And then like Ben Old decided he wanted to use the team, and we were doing it in other places, but obviously Southside started to get that recognition as a promotion, and then other people wanted to start using it, so it all sort of fell into place from there really. And you know, we just started to get some momentum as a team, because the one thing we wanted to do as a tag team is actually be a tag team, in the sense that if you watch our matches when we used to tag, everything, it was never just me doing moves on my own or Paul just doing moves. Everything we did, it was a unit. We tried to make what a tag team match should be, you know, not just two singles guys working two other singles guys, trying to work as a collective unit, you know, each other up and stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying we're like the greatest tag team in the world. Obviously, we had a lot to learn and stuff like that. But we would really try to focus on that tag team psychology. That was the most important thing for us.
So, who were some of your favourite teams to face off against?
Without a doubt, the Hunter brothers. I can't say enough good stuff about them. I loved the opportunity to do more stuff with Lee and Jim. Not only are they like two of the most humble people you'll meet, but they genuinely, as rated as they are, and they are starting to get their plaudits and stuff, and people know how good they are, they genuinely are underrated. They can work with anybody. They're a fantastic team. And once again, if you watch those guys as a wrestling fan, they are what a tag team, in my opinion, are. You know, what they should be. So I used to love wrestling those guys, and we wrestled each other a decent amount. But I'd have loved to have had that like old school sort of territory thing where we could have worked them every night, because the matches would have just gotten better and better. I think we only sort of started to tip the iceberg on what we could have done with them. We had a few matches at Southside, and we also wrestled quite extensively at Leicester Championship Wrestling as well, and then a few other promotions. But without a doubt, I'd always, you know, if anybody asked me who's like the best tag team or who are two of the best, I always mention Lee and Jim. I mean, Project Ego were always fun to wrestle. I would have liked to have done more with them later on down the line. You know, they're just I enjoy watching when those two tag up to each other. They've got a really good personal you can see their friendship comes out between them, and they've got a really good chemistry in the ring. Not just in what they do, you know, offense-wise, but just their interaction as a team, to where I think they're really great. We've only had one match with the London Riots, but I would have liked to have done more with those guys, just because, you know, two massive machines. Rob Lynch, I remember wrestling him in sort of 2010. I've been in the ring with some big guys, but like getting shoulder tackled by him and sending me like across the ring, legit, you got no choice but to come off your feet with a guy like that. He's so And I like I said to you earlier, I mean, I like wrestling all different styles and stuff. That's one thing I've always tried to. I love getting in the ring with a cruiserweight or a heavyweight or anybody really. But those guys, you know, they have that badass mentality, and you know, you can't help but, you know, get invested in those two.
Yeah, exactly. And you got sort of wince when you see like either, like you're saying, a shoulder block or like a clothesline for one of them two. You know, like, you know, that's gotta hurt, sort of thing.
Well, they bring out, you know, watching those kind of guys, like it brings out the fan in me when I see the kind of shots they deliver and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm trying to. I mean, like I say, the Hunter brothers are the ones for me that always come up. I mean, UK wrestling has, you know, when we were tagging, it seemed like, you know, there's more and more tag teams coming through and more of a division. I mean, obviously, sometimes, like, even you see it in the top promotions in the world, sometimes it's a case of, you know, they'll just throw a tag team together against, you know, two singles wrestlers. Like in Southside, we must have wrestled Robbie X and a different partner of his, you know, at least 6, 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
You know? So there are a lot of tag teams in this country, but still, you know, there's still going to be some promotions that maybe put two guys together just for that promotion, trying to be different and stuff like that. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting somebody, but I definitely, the Hunters and Project Ego always come up sort of top of the list for me.
Yeah, and they are like two of the top teams in England as well, aren't they? And obviously you've well, it's sort of a bit of a mini feud at the moment, isn't it, with the Hunters? You've got the last time I saw you wrestle in Sheffield, you were hitting one of them with your belt or a strap.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, doing this. Getting this time it was me and Sticks teaming up, and he cost us the match. So I just, any opportunity to wrestle Lee and Jim, I just thought, at the end of the day, I'd quite happily get into the ring with them. And also, I like the thing is with Lee and Jim, as good as they are, sometimes it's nice to sort of bring out that intense side of them and see them in a different style of just, because they're that happy-go-lucky tag team who come out. It's nice to, when you bring out that vicious side of both of them, that's when you get that different intensity as well. And not everybody gets to see that, but when they, when they have that personal sort of feud going on, it's nice, nice to see them drop that kind of like, friendly set of brother character tag team, and they really, come to the ring with that highly charged, intense style, which they can do as well. So I can guarantee, like, the next time I meet them in Sheffield, there will be a lot more. It will certainly be a different type of match with those guys.
Well, that's probably a good opportunity to bring that up. You've got 2 Southside shows coming up before the end of the year, or is it 3? You've got the one in Sheffield, aren't you, on November the 21st, where it's you and a mystery partner facing the Hunter brothers. That's and right. Then in St. Neots on November 30th, you've got strap match with your rival Malen. And what can fans expect from those 2 matches then?
Well, in regards to the Sheffield match, I mean, like anyone who follows me on Twitter and anyone who's sort of following what's going on in Southside, like I've sort of said, like, for me, I don't need it to be a mystery partner. I've sort of been trying to extend my hand to Jimmy Havoc. If anyone was at the Southside event, the Southside Weekender in Nottingham, he obviously had this sort of the barbed wire match with CZW's DJ Hyde, and I came out afterwards and spoke to Jimmy, who I do actually like a lot as a person, but he knows, like, I don't see why he has to sort of mutilate himself consistently, and because the guy, like, the next day, seeing him wince and seeing the scars on his body that are already formulating, you can't help but worry about somebody in that sense. So what I said to him after the show, even though the fans weren't exactly happy with my words, was from the heart, and I am trying to. I've said that I want him to tag with me. So whether he decides to be my partner or not, that's I don't know at the moment. I've still got over a week until we see what happens there. So hopefully it'll be me and Jimmy Havoc, a new Jimmy Havoc against the Hunter brothers. And then we've got the show on the 23rd. I think we return to Nottingham for the last time of the year, but I've not been announced who my opponent is on that one.
But you're on it because you're on the poster, aren't you, for that one?
Yeah. You never know with British wrestling. I'm definitely on the show, but I don't know who I'm against at the minute.
Right.
And then on the 30th, like you said, I've got the strap match, which is kind of like poignant, really, because the whole thing started with a leather strap. So, and that's something that's been incorporated with me ever since I sort of turned into this righteous character. And it's been building, and I personally thought that the First Blood would be the end of it after sort of taking Paul out in that, but it's gotten to a level now where it's going to finish where it started. As far as I'm concerned, like, it's going to happen at St. Neots. It's going to be a leather strap match, and win, lose or draw, that'll be the end of it. And the thing is, a lot of people have invested into the story because it is personal. And I'm not trying to like create. Me and Paul we're not friends particularly anymore, and there is a lot of, like, I've not really delved into sort of the personal situation. There is a lot of sort of personal bad blood in there, and it did kind of start from something that happened last year, and it's maybe something I'll embellish on, in the future and stuff, but there is a lot of, like, there is a big issue that needs to be sorted, and the strap match, it's not going to be your typical leather strap match where you've got to touch the 4 turnbuckles or anything. It's going to be very physical, and these kind of matches I don't even look forward to, because I know it's going to take a big toll on me. I'm still that obviously I spoke to you before we did the interview. I'm going to physio later because I've got bumps and massive like lumps on my tailbone, which is from the First Blood match. I'm still struggling from that. So when you do these kind of matches, you're putting yourself, just like anybody who's doing these kind of things, or anybody who steps into the ring, you're putting yourself on the line. But there's a much higher level of risk. And these matches with Paul have been very physically taxing, and I don't expect it to be any different on the 30th.
And I think that's what fans, well, especially me, and I know a lot of other British wrestling fans appreciate so much about you guys, because obviously you start to realise that it's not just about that moment. Your guys are going to take those injuries, and like you said, I mean, how long ago was the First Blood match, and you still got the injuries from it now?
Yeah, I think it was the middle of October.
Yeah.
I mean, as scary as the balcony fall was, there was a group of guys underneath me who caught me, but it still was a heavy landing and terrifying moment. But I got put through a table off the ring apron down to the floor. I mean, then also like the tables aren't like not saying that the WWE tables aren't hard to go through, but like the tables that we had at Southside were just, I think they were like boards that you get from a cupboard or something like that. So they it wasn't a comfy landing, and I just went through basically on my arse through my tailbone, and like I thought I was in a lot of pain after that point, and then obviously it's no different from what anybody else would do on the scene. So I'm not trying to make myself out to be some tough guy or anything like that, but we had the shows the next day and the day after, so we had to carry that match through. But it's just something that you have to just get on with at the end of the day. I just try not to make a point of moaning about injuries and stuff like that, because you've got so many top professionals in this country, and anybody who wrestles, everyone's feeling it, and there's people who've been in it a lot longer than I have, and I'm no different from those guys or anything.
Exactly. So, what would you say some of your last few questions? What would you say would your top 3 matches be? And this is a hard one, but I thought I'd narrow it down to 3 rather than just putting you on the spot and asking you for one.
I mean, it's a tough question because I'm very highly critical of myself.
Yeah.
Like, there's matches I enjoy, and there's matches that I look back on and that are good, or and then you watch it back and you see things that I wish I'd have done or could have done better, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, one match that I'll say that comes right off the bat is I've done some work for House of Pain Evolution, or Hope Wrestling, in Mansfield, and had the opportunity to wrestle Dave Mastiff, who I personally consider as like the top guy in Europe, in my opinion, not just England. I think Dave's phenomenal. I got like absolute ultimate respect for him in the way he conducts himself and the way he is in the ring. I've got a lot of time for him. We wrestled each other, I think it was in June or something of this year, and we had a very sort of physical match, and we got to the end of the match and the crowd gave us a standing ovation for the match. So just having that kind of reaction from the fans was just a great thing, and to be in the ring with someone you respect so much and you don't want to let down. That was a really good moment, and that really stands out just on the crowd alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say, I mean, I'm also talking of Hope Wrestling. I've had in a best of 5 series currently with CJ Banks, which has probably been the longest running best of 5 series ever. Started it earlier in the year, but excuse me, I think that was by design from Hope Wrestling, that they didn't want to just do one after the other. They wanted to build it.
Yeah.
But as a he's another guy. You talk about guys that are phenomenal, like CJ Banks, another one. I think he's like, if Dave Mastiff is number 1, I'd probably put CJ Banks number 2. Like, he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Love
stepping into the ring with him. He's another guy. So as a collection of matches, I've really enjoyed wrestling him. And then I'd probably, I wouldn't say like because of how physical it was, but I mean, I guess the First Blood match has probably got to be in there in some respects. I mean, it wasn't a typical catch-as-catch-can wrestling match.
No.
But from what it was advertised as being like, I think we just raised the bar on what we'd done previously. We'd wrestled in Nottingham in just a singles match, but it never really got started. And we battled around the ring, and there was weapons and a brawl around the ring and all that kind of stuff. But with this one, there was so much that happened, and I can't say enough that it was physical. So, and for the kind of reactions we got, and I think we delivered. For if you're a fan in the audience, I mean, like you said, I appreciate what you said about, you appreciate the fact that, two guys sort of going out there and trying to give, the audience their money's worth, and also what they expect from a first blood match. So, I mean, that off the top of my head, that'd probably have to go in there in terms of another match that stands out, definitely.
Yeah, I thought you were going to put that one in there, because that was, as JR had put it, a barn burner. Dave Mastiff, just to go back to him, I can't believe I don't know if you're a fan of, Japanese wrestling, but I can't believe he's not been, asked to go over there more. There's a guy in, New Japan called Ishii, who's basically, the Japanese equivalent of Dave Mastiff, beats the crap out of his opponents, and also gets 10 times the punishment back, and I've just been dying for, a UK promoter to either bring him over there, or a Japanese promoter to take him over there, because I just know it'd be like an all-out war, just these two, heavy-set guys just absolutely beating 10 bells of crap out of each other.
Well, the fact that, Dave Mastiff isn't signed to a major company surprises me.
Yeah.
I can't, you're saying as someone who watches him, you obviously enjoy his stuff. I mean, he's a wrestler's wrestler at the end of the day. He's so versatile, and he's so nimble, such a big guy. But the thing with Dave Mastiff, the one word, when I always try and watch his matches when I'm a part of a show, if I'm not against it. The one word that comes to me is believability. As soon as he walks through that curtain, you don't need to, if you've never seen Dave Mastiff before, he's not the kind of guy you're going to want to get into a scrap with.
No.
And he's got that presence about him, and that's just something you can't buy at the end of the day. You can't teach that. That just comes naturally. And I think I don't know what Dave's personal goals are. I don't know what he's after. For all I know, he may have been offered deals or whatever. I don't know where Dave wants to end up. So it's not. I don't want to guess, but I could imagine Dave going as far as he wants to go at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just and obviously he's got the he's on the British boot camp thing, so he may end up with a contract there. But even if he's been on now he's been on mainstream television, people are going to see what we all know anyway. So he's bound to be someone that's been shortlisted. He was in OVW, and I know he did really well over there. There's so many guys, like Rampage Browns and all.
Yeah.
We've got so much sort of we really are, in terms of the guys that are the sort of cream of the crop over here. We have got so many guys that are fantastic at what they do. Look how well Spud's done for himself. Yeah. He's just another guy, just a really good guy, fountain of knowledge, and I'm really proud to see him over there doing so well for himself. So and I respect what he's doing, because it gives you that extra sort of boost. It's like, this is possible. If you want something, you work for it, and you go for it. There's so many guys. I just can't not see someone like CJ Banks going somewhere. I can't not see it happening for him. So
yeah. It's like you say, though. The talent pool that it's so deep, isn't it, on the British scene at the moment.
Absolutely. Obviously we get the, promotions bring in the imports from the US or wherever, and obviously they have their name value, and it's great, when you get guys like Hardcore Holly and stuff like that, and they come over. But obviously a lot of the UK, a lot of the passionate sort of UK fans, and just some of our guys, if you present them as a megastar, people will buy into it.
Yeah.
I think people, you see it all the time. People have a lot of passion for some of these wrestlers, and, they really believe in them. And, the UK fans, are spoiled with some of the guys they get to see at the minute, and it's really great. There's some really top talent. Like you said, like we said at the interview, 2014 for me has been I've been stepping into the ring with them again and a lot more. And every weekend I look at my bookings, and every match is a new test, or every match is going to be a different battle. Or one week it might be CJ Banks, next week it might be Rampage Brown or Rich Swann or whoever. It's there's so many guys and so much. You really look forward to those matches because they can do anything, and you can tell a story, and it's great fun.
So when just to put you on the spot before we finish the interview up, when do you think we're going to see you against Mark Haskins then?
Mark Haskins. Well, we've wrestled.
For the belt.
Oh, for the belt. Well, at the minute, Mr. Haskins, he's not doing so well. I don't think with his injury at the minute. Obviously, I think my thing at the minute has been the case with the briefcase. I've been dealing with this Paul Malen situation, so that's been the monkey on my back, so to speak. So until that issue gets sorted, that's the luxury of having this briefcase. Yeah. You can take your time. You can wait and see whether Haskins is going to be the champion or not, because he's got a lot of tough challenges ahead of him as well.
Yeah.
So it's just at the minute, the way I see it is I've not reached my potential yet, so I'm only going to get better. And come 2015, I'm going to say to you right now, I'm going to eclipse what I've done in 2014.
Yeah.
So by the time 2015 comes, you will see me as the Southside champion, and it'll be my time. It'll be my turn to bring in a whole different era, and the Righteous character is only going to build and build and build. That's my plan. So whether it's against Mark Haskins or Tommy End or Robbie X or even Styx or whoever, when it's my time to strike, it's my time to strike, and I don't plan on letting go of that championship.
Cool, man. Well, we'll look forward to it. So just to bring it to a close, how can people sort of follow you online on social media, and have you got a website where people can buy t-shirts and things?
Right, okay. In regards to a website, that's something I want to do, but I don't want to just have some kind of if I get a website made, I want it to be a professional, good thing that's kept. The problem is, as you know, sometimes you go on even some of the promotions websites and they're not updated and stuff like that. I want something that's going to be an interactive sort of experience and not just be some little free website or anything like that. So, that's something that should be. I will look into getting sorted. Obviously, the two channels that are best to get me through are on my Twitter, which is Joseph Connors, all one word together, and it's CONNERS. Sometimes people put it as ORS at the end. And if you can contact me and follow me on there. And then I've got my Facebook page, which is currently under Special Edition Joseph Connors. And you can like the page there, and I do keep it updated as to where I'm going to be. And if you are interested in merchandise, you can just contact me, private message me on there. I also have, at most shows I go to, I'm lucky enough that I've got, my girlfriend who's part of two merch girls. So she's always carrying, whether it's Righteous stuff or Special Edition stuff, she's always got stuff on hand if you're interested in purchasing some of the stuff we've got currently.
Cool. And just to recap, the shows that we were talking about during this interview is Sheffield, November 21st. That's also includes Chris Hero, Harnation, Kaylee Ray, and then is it Nottingham on November the 23rd?
That's
and then that big strap match November the 30th. And tickets are only a tenner, so if you want to get them, southsidewrestling.co.uk or our affiliates, ringsideworld.co.uk. And Joe, been an absolute pleasure. Really, really, really appreciate it. Really interesting and insightful interview. Really appreciate you coming on here and telling us all your stories.
You're more than welcome. I'm always happy to chat about wrestling. Just as much as I enjoy being part of the shows, I'm still a fan as well, and I always will be. So I'm always happy to talk about wrestling. I'll also just chuck in regards to those dates, just because they'll strangle me if I don't. You've also got on November 28th, I've mentioned them briefly, Leicester Championship Wrestling. They're going to be hosting their Super Show. Obviously the word Super Show sort of gets thrown about a lot, but this is the biggest venue they've ran in Colville area, I believe, and they've got you know, they're bringing in Kurt Hawkins, Mason Ryan. They've got Marty Scurll, Nathan Cruz, Mark Haskell, myself. Paul Malen's on that card as well, unfortunately. Rex, Will Ospreay. There's going to be all sorts of guys on that. And then I believe on the 23rd, as well as Southside, I'll be travelling to Tidal Wrestling, and I believe it's the first time meeting between myself and Mark Andrews on that card. So,
wow.
Yeah, look forward to stepping into the ring with Mark as well.
And all those tickets will be available on Ringside World, no doubt. And if it's lcwwrestling.co.uk, and Tidal, I think you can hit them up on Facebook, can't you? They're based in Leeds, aren't they?
I believe so, yeah.
Cool. Right, well, there you go. There's plenty of opportunities to go and see him, so no excuses. Right, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the news and views from the world of American, British and Japanese wrestling. PWN.